say that, well, I think that general education is maybe focused for the, because each student has the same different competencies and they have, so the STEM education all try to empower their interest in study STEM. But I think the government should give the policy to encourage the STEM education, but give the, for example, the focus of labor force. I mean that the recruitment for the future and the way to foster this. For example, when the student, when teacher try to educate or implement STEM, but they found difficulty to develop material or something like that. In Vietnam, nowadays many teachers try to use a hand-on or from recycled material, but you know that with the trends or perspective of the using IT or something like that, we need a more strategy to develop some kit or something to support the teacher to employ that. And also that you mentioned about the policy for the teacher to employ, it needs organizing as Alice mentioned about the 3 dimensions. And what's more is about the assessment entrance, because as an entrance, you may not a student taking an entrance examination is quite different to the activity in STEM when they employ in general school. That's why they feel, of course, the teacher found very difficult to persuade the student to follow because they has to focus on exam and chance for the university, for example. That's some point of...
yes, so this connects, I think, with what has been said about the importance of assessment and how that it covers everything. Yeah, I think so. The policy focusing on the manner of assessment, which is probably key.
Yeah, I think so. So it is already almost the end of the roundtable discussions. I really would like to invite Professor Nanba to take a few minutes to drop off, to keep watching.
Thank you very much. Well, I'll try to.
What kind of message we should take home?
Well, I've taken a number of notes, and they're all in random order. But I think it probably comes together for me around curriculum and the connection between what's expected, what's planned, and what's enacted. The expected curriculum is what's set by the national authorities, and in Australia we have ACARA, which provides the Australian, it's a curriculum assessment and reporting authority, which provides the framework for the curriculum for students from foundation through to year 10. And then, generally speaking, each state takes over for the curriculum framework for the senior years of schooling. They provide what is expected in terms of what is to be known and some general understandings of how that might be approached in terms of pedagogy and assessment, but not well stipulated in my view. This then moves to the planned curriculum, which is what a teacher or within a school plans to do in the area of each subject. And the planned curriculum connects at a school level or even a regional area with the things that are valued most by those those communities. And it may have a particular relevance for a regional context compared to a metropolitan context and so forth. It might have particular relevance to perhaps if it's a school that has a faith-based component, might put a colour on the planned curriculum for within a school. And then comes enacted, which is what the teacher actually does. They take the school level curriculum that's planned, and they plan for their classrooms, and then they enact this with their students. There's been a number of studies that's actually shown that there's a disconnect between plan and enact at every level, from the expected curriculum through to what happens to students, from the regional or school system level through to what happens with students, even from a teacher's plan for a class to what they end up doing with the students. And the question in my mind is always, well, what is it that actually cuts through? What's the constant that actually enables teachers to set their compass for a particular outcome for students? And in the area of STEM, I think it's curiosity and enthusiasm. I think that's the compass that needs to be set by each teacher. They need to understand how they can make students feel as though they have a connection with the sorts of questions that are being posed by scientists, technology experts, mathematicians and engineers. They need to understand how that connects with world problems, and in very simple ways show them that they can be involved. Don't make them feel as though they can only be involved in science, technology, engineering and maths if they have the biggest, best widget in the world. You know, they need to have that sense that they have an engagement, that they can solve problems in the smallest possible way that make a difference. So for me, as you could probably expect, the key policies for STEM education is seated in not only in designing the overall curriculum, but predominantly in teacher education. I think teacher education needs to be on how we focus STEM education for all students and for all teachers. And that requires us to think about who's encouraged to, or who joins who wants to be a teacher. Now, not everybody that wants to be a teacher imagines themselves as STEM specialists. In fact, they often think of themselves as escapees from STEM. They may have had anxieties around maths or anxieties about science themselves, and to actually have them feel as though they're enthusiastic and capable is a first step in that direction. So what policies could we recommend? I think we need reward systems, early entry programs for students to engage with universities. We need those industry connections and connections with universities. We need transition programs that enable teachers to support students to understand where their science and technology might lead them. And I think there's probably a number of steps to developing the sorts of community we want that has a strong respect and engagement with STEM. And that's first of all to excite people, then to focus their interest, then to enable them to feel curious about it and to solve problems. Then alongside that, the development of STEM capabilities and deep-seated knowledge connected to the real world. So all of those steps need to be encompassed, I think, to create an effective, sustainable STEM education program. And I think we in terms of the policy, we need to make sure that we're enabling enthusiasm by supporting those teachers, by thinking about teacher education, by stopping thinking about STEM as an elite area and actually encompassing all students as best we can. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you a lot. Very nice. First time ever roundtable discussion. That's nice. Thank you so much, and good hand. So please take the short break.
So we have a coffee and tea next door. So please come back at 10:30 to the session you are interested in.
Thank you so much. behind the scenes of
Maybe it is your favorite contact.